During the fast-shifting events of 1990 to 1991 in the Soviet Union, it was a challenge to keep and preserve the most important documents from the Committee of State Security, KGB. Latvia was one of the few countries managing to do this because of unusual circumstances. One large part of KGB agent messenger personal files and their messages were preserved, as well as a large part of KGB operative documents containing the information about the KGB's work in Latvia during the 1970s-1990s. The work of the Soviet Secret Service was not just political control and struggle against the various forms of anti-Soviet dissent. Their responsibilities also included the fight against criminal activities, as well as searching for Nazi war criminals. However, in our case, we are interested in one of the main aspects of the KGB work within the Soviet Union: counterintelligence. It is often mistaken to assume that if we would start searching the archives of the intelligence agencies, we will find indisputable proof that an agency like CIA or KGB had used numbers stations, a one-directional shortwave radio broadcast of a string of encoded numbers directed to operating agents for espionage in another country. While it's possible, the documents that clearly confirm the use of numbers stations as a tool for intelligence are the counterintelligence documents. The counterintelligence duty has always been to monitor radio waves for any signs of adversary intelligence activity. Just as radio amateurs or numbers stations loggers, their work was and still is to monitor the radio waves, writing down every transmission, its frequency and time. However, while for civilians this is merely a hobby, for counterintelligence the radio signal monitoring is a state duty, and in the end, this effort had to result in the capture of a foreign agent and disruption of the intel operations. The CIA and FBI published several documents already on this topic, and they were described on our site before. Now it's time to look at the KGB counterintelligence effort. The second main directorate of KGB was responsible for counterintelligence operations and worked in all parts of the Soviet Union. In Latvia, that was occupied and annexed by the Soviet Union in 1940, counterintelligence was very important, as Latvia was the Soviet Western rear. CIA and SIS had staged intel operations in the Baltic states from 1946 onwards, for instance, Operation Jungle, Operation Tilestone, that involved heavy use of radio communications. There were other such efforts since then, and as radio technology became more advanced, the efforts of monitoring the radio waves became more detailed. The focus of the study is the 51st case from the Latvian State Archive, 1st Archive Group or Foundation, 2nd List, 2nd Main Directorate. From 2019, the National Archive in Riga grants access to historians to the KGB operative cases. The case consists of 184 pages and covers the time frame from 1979 to 1987 and is labeled as Monitoring for Adversary Agency Presence in the Radio Channel's first volume. Ruling Instructions and Documents. The case first contains long instructions about the foreign intelligence use of numbers stations, how to monitor them and apprehend the agents using them. Then follows the most interesting part, the documents of monitoring the signals, where every transmission was fully documented and includes even a tape of recordings and maps of how far into the USSR these transmissions were heard. Additionally, there are also documents of the KGB keeping a check on radio amateurs in Latvia, as well as some radio amateurs in the Western Bloc that was under Soviet watch. The documents are in Russian. This publication will fully describe this very unique case, without mentioning any sensitive personal information. The article will also include some scanned images from the case. In 1979, June 29, in Riga, the case was opened by orders of the Deputy Chief of the Latvian KGB General Major Evgeny Grigorievich Kravchenko as part of Control Monitoring Case NR 685 Vostok and Volna 1, where it was stated that it has been found that within USSR adversary agencies are using one-directional broadcasts using 17 lines of communications from the US and 12 lines of communication from the German Federal Republic. One-directional broadcasts are the intelligence language term for numbers stations, meaning a coded signal is sent from abroad and does not require return communication from the agent. In the past, the agents who infiltrated the foreign country were required to take their own transmitters with them to send coded messages back to their countries of origin. since in some cases the agents were captured with all the transmission material and were even forced to send fake messages back to their employers, or as in Syria the source of the back return communications were eventually found, Eli Cohen case, the intelligence agencies now started to send one-directional messages where orders or messages were sent to agents only. The agent then had to reply by using other methods such as dead drops and secret meetings. While this method was still prone to failure, it was safer than having two-sided radio communications. The Service R, a special service of the 2nd Division for Surveillance, that was responsible for surveillance, had gathered the data on these transmissions, and as a result, this case was created. The case was opened and signed by the Chief of Operations of the 1st Department of the 2nd Directorate of Latvian KGB IV. Kasimov, Chief of the 1st Department and 2nd Directorate Major V.A. Bowers, the Chief of 2nd Directorate Colonel B.J. Teinbreiks. The origin of this case can be traced a year earlier to a meeting on the 30th of August 1978 between B.J. Teinbreiks and one of the chief engineers of the R service, who had determined the presence of the adversary radio signals discovered in the counter-intel Operation Ginters, Amber, in 1976/78. The operation resulted in the arrest of Agents Styrne and Nero, and criminal activity of Inspector and Lopohovo had been thwarted, who was suspected in aiding the adversary. The monitoring events called Delta and Bars determined the efforts of the adversary showed that monitoring efforts did not fully comply to the standards of the KGB, and the use of radio signals as a proof for the crime of treason to the fatherland and proof for being recruited by the foreign agency had not been used conclusively enough. Because of these shortcomings with evidence, the order was given to solve these issues and to start a comprehensive study on the Western radio centers and radio broadcasts. On the 31st of August 1978, Major General Chief of KGB in Latvia Longins Ivanovs Avdžukivas had made a plan for Service R. It was stated that it was known that within the USSR foreign agencies could send 152 one-sided communications. Within Latvia 62 communications were being monitored, 36 from West Germany and 26 from the US. The adversaries were also capable of using VHF and UHF range for close communications. As Latvia was constantly visited by foreigners and about 200 diplomats, these close-range communications also served as objects of attention. The civilian ports in Riga and Ventspils were also objects for smuggling. The foreign agencies also were using Western amateurs radio operators to make contact with Soviet amateurs to gain information from them. Since Latvia as a part of the USSR was considered as a border area with many important military personnel and objects, Riga was the center of the Baltic Military District. Service R was ordered to conduct a thorough monitoring of the radio communications and intercept possible personal radio communications that might be harmful. The responsibility of signal triangulation and surveilling special diplomatic visitors and guests were also added to Service R's remit. Latvia during USSR was not actually entirely closed to foreigners. A large Latvian exile community often could get entry into Soviet-occupied Latvia. However, every such visitor was on a KGB watch list, as he could be either a suspected spy, or if the person was good material he could be recruited to spy on Latvian exiles. In practice, the foreign visitors who were deemed suspicious had to be observed, and if their actions coincided with the time of the radio broadcasts, then that person would be suspected to have received these signals. The instructions also noted that it's important to check if some political or military events could affect the broadcast times. The KGB's main monitoring objectives in Riga, the capital of Latvia, were, as part of the event bars, to observe foreigner activities at the hotels Riga and Latvija, the airport in Riga, the Dome Concert Hall, and the ports in Riga and Ventspils. The event Delta was aimed to regularly eavesdrop on foreigner technical property. As well, the checks were required for the radio amateurs, official members of DOSOF, Army and Sports Club, Radio Club, as well as unlicensed ones, to determine if they were making contacts with Western counterparts. The next important assignment was the event cordon, that was tasked to create radio interference in areas where secret activities were carried out. And finally, illegal radio equipment had to be found and confiscated. The description of the one-directional broadcast was explained in the following instructions. The document stated that adversaries sent encoded messages that can be received by a simple radio receiver and the agent were using other means for return communications. Instruction named the advantages of such messages. The message can be sent almost every time of day and almost at every geographical range. Since the agent is not sending message personally, he is safer and is not required to use and handle sensitive radio transmission equipment. It eases significantly the training for radio equipment. The instruction further states in the 1960s when the adversary just started to use one-directional radio messages, they did that in telegraphic mode, A1, using Morse code. However, such method was hard to master for some people and to receive Morse code properly special radio equipment was needed. As for the given time, the document stated that the US used just one channel with Morse code. In 1961 to 1962 the US started to send improved tonal telegraphic, A2, signals that would be received on usual radio receivers. Later the adversary started to use telephone mode, A3, in modern language AM, USB, LSB mode, where the operator is sending numbers in English or German. Such a method eases the agent training even further. An A3 mode can be received on a commonly available shortwave radio receiver. The instruction further continues that in recent years the signals were no longer sent in full AM, but rather in USB and LSB that required either a special radio receiver or normal radio receiver with a changed schematic. Usually, the message was sent on two frequencies at one time, so the agent could choose the best working frequency for his conditions. In the first 5 to 10 minutes, the station sent an ID signal, giving time for the agent to prepare for the reception. The signal can be either genuine instructions or a training message, that can be determined by numbers in the starting sequence. Also, the agent ID is determined. If the number does not correspond to the agent, he can turn off the broadcast then. If the agent is poor at learning Morse code, it's being sent at a slower rate. The message is usually repeated twice in an interval. The main issue for the agent is to find appropriate radio receivers as well as issues of reception caused by interference. In the Soviet Union, where the radio industry had created radios with often limited reception of frequencies, or simply because of the deficit, getting an appropriate radio was an issue. Foreign radio receivers were seen as a sign of suspicion. Modding the schematics of the Soviet radio required some skill, as the Soviet electronics, while having many things in common with Western counterparts, was still based on different schematics that were not used in the West. As a result, an agent can be comprehended by following incrementing situations. He owned the radio receiver, he adopted his life routine according to the broadcast times. Most incriminating evidence was to be obtained if an agent did not destroy the notes resulting from decoding messages. Also, note on broadcast time. Possibly the agent might have even recorded the message on tape. Another sign that counterintelligence often used against agents suspected of receiving signals was to call them on the time of broadcast and see if he would not pick the call. The Service R determined that the US and GFR were the main users of this one-directional message broadcasts. One of the main centers for sending these messages was located in Frankfurt am Main, and sent signals towards the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc. Most heard in Latvia were operated by the CIA, while those of the DIA were heard very weakly. At the end of this description, it was concluded while these signals are to be taken into serious account, they can't be taken as a priority for counterintelligence and should be regarded as artistically and used along with other methods and materials. Before there were serious numbers stations monitoring groups like Enigma, there were people like Havana Moon who regularly published their numbers stations logs in journals such as Monitoring Times for the amusement of radio listeners. Meanwhile in Riga, and elsewhere for the KGB, this was a serious matter. Without a doubt also the US counterintelligence did that as well. The KGB had set up secret listening posts in Riga and other places where the radio frequencies were monitored on a daily basis. The station logs were done in almost Enigma 2000-like perfection or even better. But again, it was not for a hobby, it was part of securing national security. Note, the KGB used the term communication line for what we usually understand as numbers station, for a single specified broadcast as WFF01/01 and such. In general terms, these broadcasts as a whole were called one-directional, one-way. Another term used by many agencies across the world is the radiograms. Please refer to text version of the article for details about early monitoring results. On the 12th of April 1979, a new plan was implemented, starting a new counterintelligence operation named Kurzeme 79, Kurland 79, to secure the Soviet borders. The operation was to be carried out in the Latvian region of Kurland, as well as in Riga and Tallinn, Estonia. The monitoring of the radio signals was also included in the plan. For the radio signal reception and monitoring, the R359 radio direction finder, as well as OREL IM2, Siren P radio direction finders were deployed and orders were given to create maps of the signal reception. The operation was to be carried out in June. Before in 1976, the Soviets took note that a temporary employee of the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, Hayden Houston, whose main work was in the embassy in Pakistan, had arrived in Riga. The KGB determined he was doing radio reception tests of foreign broadcasts and possibly also of the number station signals. Events codenamed S.T.O.D, Zakaz, and Delta were carried out and could not determine if he was checking the number station signals. However, another surveillance team found he had special radio equipment. His radio listening showed he could have controlled the reception of WFF01/52, WFF01/70 and WFF01/92. The surveillance observed him listening to the radio in his hotel room at midnight. In 1978, 25 to May 28, the H. Houston was expected to visit Riga again. However, the arrival was delayed because of bad weather that cancelled his flight. By that time the CIA from Frankfurt operated the WFF01/70, WFF01/192, WFF01/123, WFF01/138, WFF01/145, WFF01/146, WFF01/150, WFF01/151 communication lines. The analysis showed that WFF01/92 could have listened to twice as well as line WFF01/70. Special suspicion was raised because the diplomat cancelled the trip to Riga when it was clear that he will not be able to arrive in Riga in the evening on Friday, meaning it was important for him to be on time for the schedule. During Houston's visit, the broadcasts took place on Thursday 25.05.78 WFF01/70, WFF01/138. Friday 26.05.78 no broadcasts. Saturday 27.05.78 WFF01/92 at 00:00 WFF01/151. Sunday 28.05.78 WFF01/92 at midnight and WFF01/150, WFF01/70, WFF01/145, WFF01/146. Monday 29.05.78 WFF01/92 at midnight WFF01/150. The investigation concluded that Houston was interested in most part of receiving WFF01/52, WFF01/92, WFF01/70 that might indicate that the agents using these stations were located in Latvia 41. In July 1979 the radio monitoring operation was carried out by Service R and it was determined that following communication lines were sent from Frankfurt and Munich. WFF 01/48, 52, 92, 111, 116, 125, 131, 132, 136, 138, 139, 140, 141, 145, 146, 149, 150, 151. DMF 01/MR, DMJN 01/AV, KT, NQ, NZ, OV, TP, DMF/DMJ 01/A and EA, LA, LU, ZD. Authors note previously unmentioned DMF or DMNJN designation communication lines, numbers stations, in the case, came either from the Munich radio center or were transmitted by another adversary country or military. Then the documents take us further to 1980, where Service R reports that in 1980, using domestic-made and foreign receivers, it was possible to receive one-directional broadcasts from 10 to 13 communication links allegedly belonging to a CIA radio transmitter in Frankfurt. As part of the Operation Kent, 13 broadcasts that started from 1975 were monitored. It was determined that 13 communication lines worked on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays with 2 broadcasts every time, 8 broadcasts in total. On Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays 5 broadcasts took place, so 15 broadcasts total. Saturdays and Sundays saw 10 broadcasts, while the remaining workweek only saw 13. This was natural, as agents had to work, and had more available time to receive transmissions on the weekends. The usual time for transmission was either early in the morning or late at night. However, there were exceptions, such as number 25, which appeared at 1900 hours on Mondays and Thursdays from 25.11.75. Number 144 and number 146 began on 21.10.77 and was scheduled at 1300 hours every Sunday. Neither of 13 communication links had any daytime broadcasts anymore. Special attention by Service R was given to the following communication lines. Line 77-01/48.2.10, from February 10, 73, as it was determined from 1977, were false messages using call sign 864. From 1974 to 1975, 6 messages were sent. At the end of 1979, the station ceased activity. Line -01/92, from 17.11.75. From early 1975, 25 messages were sent. High importance was given for uneven numbers for the 3-digit call sign. From 1980, 13 messages were sent and just 6 were operational in nature. From August to October, the same message was repeated 21 times. It was determined that possibly the U.S. diplomat H. Houston controlled these messages. Line 01/110, from September 6, 76. In 1977 to 78, a large number of false messages were sent with fake call signs 666 and 888. As in case of line 70 for Agent Agronome, the fake signals like 111 meant saw your signal, 222 the communications with you are lost, 333 we sent a package. The communication line 110 did not seem to be very operational by its activity. Line 0/125, from 25.2.1976. From December 1, 1977, 16 messages were sent, indicating the communication line was made for an already operating agent. It was determined that line 01/92,01/145,01/151 could have been connected with the U.S. diplomat Houston as well as other U.S. diplomats who visited Latvia from time to time. Service R was tasked to gain more information about the dates, number of broadcasts, and determine if the station was operational or a decoy. The orders for further monitoring and analysis were made in 1981, so the monitoring continued. So far, the monitoring since as early as 1978 gave only theoretical results. The agency knew the broadcast times, frequencies and message groups, but the rest was mostly based on guesswork based on logical assumptions. It just proved that the use of such communications in intelligence work was effective, and yet as hard as it was shown in the documents that many broadcasts were just for training. The counterintelligence, however, could not dismiss all this work as irrelevant. The signals and their behavior had to be monitored until there was a certain clue that would allow them to apprehend the foreign agent. For counterintelligence, the capture of one agent is an achievement that is worth years of careful work. Another aspect for counterintelligence that required radio monitoring were the radio amateurs. Licensed or unlicensed, they could contact Western amateurs and vice versa. Even casual talks about social life issues were seen as a threat to Soviet national security. In 1980, the KGB received a large list of radio amateurs from the US and GFR who were known to have made contact with Soviet citizens in Latvia. The large list of 4 pages will not be published as it contains the call signs, surnames, and living locations of the Western radio amateurs. Then the KGB also made inquiries to local KGB messengers who were within radio amateur circles. Agent Z.V.M. made a meeting with Junior Colonel Leons Galis in a hotel Latvia in Riga, on November 10, 1981. The agent told me that anyone can be a radio amateur even when not a member of DOSOF, the Volunteer Society for Cooperation with the Army, where radio amateurs were officially registered. With appropriate radio and technical skills, it could be even a school student. Since the official Soviet radio magazine Radio published regular schematics for homemade receivers and transceivers, it was certainly possible. The only issue was the deficit in all goods, including electrical parts, in the last decade of the Soviet Union. The foreign radio amateurs could not send QSL cards to the Soviet Union without the club's permission. However, if they did so, these cards were checked at the Soviet Post Office control. It seems that the large list of foreign radio amateurs was either made by this agent Z.V.M. who observed their activity, and a part was made from their sent QSL. In the next meeting, Z.V.M. informed the KGB about the specifics of radio amateur activity in ultra-high frequency, and the KGB named 1 Latvian radio amateurs on whom he should eavesdrop. In 1982, the operation concerning adversary radio signal activity was called Sturm. In Riga, radio surveillance was done in several areas, but with no conclusive results, as some areas of the city were not fully covered. It was asked to do similar activities in other cities of Latvia as well. The next phase was scheduled for 1983. The radio listening posts were located in Riga suburban areas Imanta, Kengarags, Boldraja, and Ugla. The surveillance also took place in Ventspils and Liepāja, which contain important ports and military installations in the cities and surrounding areas. The KGB was also worried about new advancements in VHF-UHF radio amateur equipment that allowed the possibility of sending fast and quality Morse code messages. Baltic radio amateurs were suspected of using VHF-UHF to make contacts with counterparts in Scandinavia and Central Europe. The KGB sent an inquiry within its departments: should amateurs in these band ranges be monitored? The answer came that Service R only looks at the HF or shortwave bands, and during Sturm exercises no suspicious results were found on the VHF-UHF band. In 1984 February, new results came in about the adversary radio signals. The WFF-designated communication channels were still broadcasting during the height of the Cold War. The surveillance started to bear results, as the agency document stated that some agent recipients of these stations were arrested. WFF-01/43 belonged to the U.S. agent technician. Agent Mexican used WFF-01/71 and WFF-01/112. Agronom used WFF-01/70 and Sergeant WFF-01/97, who received messages from Frankfurt. The KGB surveillance concluded that the CIA is using many fake messages-only stations to divert attention from operative message stations. In 1976 January, in 4 days, 3 new communication lines were made: 01/96, 01/97, 01/98. Line 01/97 was made for Agent Sergeant, while lines 01/98 and 0/91 ceased activity after 1 to 8 months. A similar event took place in April 1976, when in 6-day time 3 new stations started to broadcast: 01/04, 01/05, 01/106. 01/104 and 01/106 ceased activity after 2 weeks and 2 months. 01/05 was still active. Some stations as 01/147 first sent fake messages and then in 1977 became operational. The training stations caused special interest in analyzing how the agent was trained for operational activity. As training lines were considered, 01/96 worked from 27.01 to 20.0276. On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 1700 hours Moscow time 1400 hours o'clock GMT time. The messages were sent from Frankfurt am Main and allowed to send messages at the range of 1000 to 3000 kilometers. Messages were sent in one-side A3 mode, USB. In further time for the agent the operational line was created, either 01/105, 01/110, or 0/111. From December 6, 76. 01/99 worked from 26.02 to 10.03. 76 on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays at 1800 hours MSK, 1500 hours o'clock GMT. Radio Center used frequencies 5150 kHz, 6375 kHz, 6860 kHz, 6920 kHz, 8120 kHz, 11238 kHz, 11283 kHz, 13590 kHz. The range of broadcast was 900 to 3500 km. 01/100 was active from 21.04 till August 5, 76 at frequencies 4990/7320 kHz with a range of 1000 to 2500 kHz. 01/104 worked from 21.04 till August 5, 76 on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 2100 hours MSK, 1800 hours. 4990/7320 kHz, with a range of 1000 to 2500 km. 01/109 The broadcasts took place at 5, 8, and July 12, 1976 at 2200 hours MSK, 1900 hours o'clock GMT, at 11274/12285 kHz with a range of 2500 to 4000 km. 01/114 The broadcasts took place on July 15 at 2200 hours MSK, 1900 hours o'clock GMT, from July 17, 1976 at 2 o'clock MSK, 2300 hours o'clock GMT, at frequencies 7320/8660 kHz. The range was 1200 to 2500 km. 01/119 The broadcasts took place at 7th, 8th, and 9th of August 1976 at 3 o'clock MSK at the frequency 3860/4022 kHz with a range of 200 to 500 km. 01/121 The broadcasts took place 24th to August 27th, daily at frequencies 8120/7662 kHz at August 28th to 29th at frequencies 8120/10135 kHz. On August 31st 6376/10315 kHz and September 2nd, 1976 at frequency 10135 kHz. All broadcasts took place at 1800 hours MSK, 1500 hours. The frequency was possible at 1100 to 3000 kHz. 01/137 worked at 12:15 and August 17, 1977 at 1400 hours MSK, 11 o'clock GMT, at 14,430 kHz/16993 kHz with a considerable range above 3000 km. All messages contained 481 Group 90 2082. 5275. Early in August 1976, the same messages were sent on 01/120. That indicates that 01/137 was a training station. In 1978 two agents took training from one-directional messages. 01/154-7 and November 14 at 2100 hours MSK, 1800 hours o'clock GMT. 01/155-9 to November 16 at 2100 hours MSK, 1800 hours. After 1978 no more new training lines were created. It was considered that the adversary cut short the training times, prolonged the activity for training lines for 2 to 4 months. Such lines in 1979 were 01/157 worked from March 23 to May 4, 1979. 01/158 worked from March 24 to May 5, 1979. 01/160 May 19 to September 29, 1979. 01/161 from June 20 to October 31, 1979. 01/168 from February 5 to March 25, 1980. 01/169 from March 7 to May 23. 01/175 from October 25 to December 13, 1980. 01/184 from February 4 to February 15, 1981. 01/210 worked from February 11, 81 to July 4, 82. 01/211 worked March 11, 81 to June 4, 82. The broadcast times of these training stations had to be checked with the times of suspicious Latvian Soviet citizens leaving the USSR and returning. The 1984 report also concluded that the broadcast times and frequencies also were determined by the technical capabilities of adversary radio centers, as well as seasonal propagation changes. Since 1972 March 31, 07 the A3J or single sideband mode was used with first such station 01/133, and then such broadcasts continued till 1974. From 1976 to 1977 there was an increase in the activity with 8 and 5 communication lines beginning their work. However, the A3J as a single sideband signal could not be received on a usual shortwave receiver, not on most domestic radios, only with special modification or on foreign special receivers. Such limitation allowed the KGB to determine who was to be suspected as an agent. Another issue was that a special antenna was required and needed to be assembled or sent from abroad. Because of that, the adversary moved back to the usual telegraphic A3 mode, AM, and just one transmission 01/147. Until 1979 all one-directional messages were sent to Frankfurt am Main by both the CIA and the DIA. However, later in time, the DIA started to use a new radio center in Wittlich GFR. From the middle of 1979 on all operational lines of 01/ from May to November, the frequencies were changed because of seasonal changes. The KGB monitors created the designations WFF-01 for CIA broadcasts and WFF-02 for DIA stations. From January 1977 of 34 communication lines 16 were considered operational. Of them, 01/01, 01/15, 01/48, 01/52, 01/70, agronom, 01/79, 01/80, 01/83, 01/92, 01/97, sergeant, 01/105, 01/110, 01/111, 01/112, Mexican, 01/116, 01/125. In 1977, operational line 01/112 ceased activity. From the new stations, just 101/129 was experimental. The broadcast was on 2 frequencies sent from Munich Radio Center of the GFR Intelligence, while line 01/137 was for training. The fake messages were considered to be 01/128, 0/130, 01/131, 01/132, 01/136, 01/139 and 01/140. At the end of 1977 20 to 23 operational stations were active. 1978 was described as a year of minimal activity. 7 new communication lines appeared, of which only 01/149 and 0151 were considered operational. 01/152 and 01/153 were seen as decoys, and 01/154 and 01/155 were seen to be for training purposes. During the year 8 stations ceased activity of 101/01 which was operational. In 1979, the operational line 01/48 ceased activity. In 1975, another operational line 01/83, changed to the Athens Radio Center and to the radio group WAF 0259. The new lines 01/157, 01/158, 01/160, and 01/161, were considered for training purposes. 01/159, 01/162, 01/163 and 01/164 were considered as operational. At the start of 1980, 22 to 25 communication lines were operational. From early 1980, the Frankfurt Radio Center used 22 to 25 communication lines. In 1980, 01/15, 0/116 ceased activity. It was not ruled out that lines 01/79 and 01/80 again moved to the Athens Radio Center. The 01/116 line recipient was considered to be located in Poland. New operative lines were 01/173, 01/174. In 1981, 01/187 line became operational, and 01/79. The average number of broadcast lines was 21 to 24. In 1981, the Frankfurt Radio Center became more active. 8 communication lines, 01/198, 01/204, 01/208, were considered experimental. The broadcasts in English were thought to come out of Athens. New operational lines that became active in 1981 were 01/189, 01/190, 01/195, 01/206, 01/209, 0/125, 01/136, 01/151. It's not ruled out that because of Operation Cascade 2 some stations ceased to exist or others moved to other channels. The common number of broadcast lines moved up to 26 to 32. In 1982, the operational lines 01/110, 0/111, 0/128, 01/139, 0/140 ceased activity. One line 01/217 began new activity. In 1983, the Frankfurt Radio Center used 25 to 30 operational messages. At the end of the year, 47 communication lines were used. The results of the 1984 study concluded that out of 47 working communication lines, 16 of them possibly were directed towards Latvia, named as follows: 01/52, 01/70, 01/97, 01/132, 01/147, 01/149, 01/159, 01/162, 01/164, 01/173, 01/189, 01/206, 01/209, 01/213, 01/217 and 01/228. The monitoring of WFF-01 family stations, CIA, showed that the adversary had learned from its past mistakes and had made more efforts in hiding his broadcasts. The training call signs like 111 and 333 were no longer used to make it harder to determine what is a training signal, what is a decoy signal, and what is operational. The Service R in Latvia made the decision to systemize all 16 one-sided broadcasts that were considered to be sent to agents in Latvia. However, this was seen as a complex and difficult issue since monitoring all 16 stations at once would be an issue of human resources and time, but these same stations were also monitored and reviewed by the main Service R division in Moscow, Minsk, Kyiv and other places, and Riga surely received some data from them too. Instead, the Service R concluded that the key details needed to be sorted out for all 16 stations, and then a choice needed to be made for which station deserved the most attention. These details were: the start of the activity, the time when an agent established contacts with an adversary agency, the start of operational messages, the start of agent active operational activity, the length of the period of sending fake messages, possible period of an agent being sick, being on leave or being outside the USSR, the signal length for sending the messages, the operational actions of the station sending the communication line, the list of frequencies used, type of radio receiver used for receiving the broadcasts, the amount of radiograms of 50 groups, 50 to 100 groups, more than 100 groups, possible message content, indications of the possible meeting place and dead drops, the times of messages. All these details were gathered and conclusions were made from them, but they couldn't be taken as fully accurate. The insights and assumptions gained were still taken into account in order to apprehend adversary agents, as the report once again concluded. As said before, the KGB counterintelligence purpose for listening to these broadcasts was not a radio amateur hobby. They saw these signals for what they were and rightfully saw them as a threat to their national security. The other side, who sent these broadcasts from West Germany, also was very well aware of this, and as the report shows, they did their own efforts to outsmart the KGB counterintelligence. At the end, intelligence work is a complex game between intelligence and counterintelligence. Usually, the round always ends with a win for counterintelligence, but the question of how long it takes to halt an intel operation is vital for the intelligence agency. While service are still monitored and analyzed these broadcasts, the ones who used for their operational tasks could have done some harm for the Soviet nation, and even when one or two were caught and arrested, there were always a few more to catch. Not all used the radio broadcasts, but what sounds like ghosts for some people on the radio, for the KGB it meant that there was adversary activity and the Soviet Union was in danger. Service R created many radio listening and triangulation points across the Union. Their main concern was the Frankfurt radio center that could send messages in a straight line towards the European side of Russia. As well as there were other such radio centers from other places in West Germany, France, and Greece. The WFF-01/147 started activity from September 29, 1979, and could be received in Riga, Brest, Kyiv, Minsk, Moscow, Odessa, Rostov-on-Don. KGB also had listening posts in Eastern Bloc countries, and KGB sister agencies also had their own radio surveillance teams. Special reception range maps were drawn to show its signal range. It was done to determine in what cities of the Union the agent could be located in. The WFF-01/147 used frequencies showed that the signal range was 1,000 km within the USSR, while outside it in the Eastern Bloc the reception was poor. The one-sided messages took place at 1500 hours Moscow time, to 1-2 frequencies at the same time. Up to 30.01.82 radio messages were carried out in at 11 o'clock MSK. From 26.02.82 A3 telegraphic, AM, mode was replaced with A3J, SSB, mode. From April 18, 1981, the station started to use the training signal 888 that could mean no tasks for you. From April 18, 1981 the radio center changed 4 times the frequencies likely to adjust times when an agent again entered the operational phase. After a year and a half, the broadcast time was changed to 1500 hours to allow for more time for the agent. Since April 1981 the station didn't use any longer its training call sign, and new had even numbers were used in the new one, which indicates a switch to an operational character. WFF-01/164 became active from August 29, 1979. Now, in 1984, the messages were broadcasted at midnight MSK winter time. The study concluded that the signal range is 1,000 to 2,000 km within the European side of the Union. During daylight time changes in summer, the schedule was adjusted to it. Such action made the KGB assume that the agent is located in between the Moscow time zone and the Central Siberian time zone, possibly in northern Russia. From 1981 onwards, the WF-01/164 radio center no longer sent 888 with its messages, and operative messages were sent from the end of 1980. The study of the call signs shows that the sign of the operational message is in the third number. From November-December 1981, they changed the frequencies 3 times. The number 8 in the call sign used 658, 838, 978 was considered to be used to warn the recipient that the frequencies will be changed. The WF-01/164 also was inactive for long periods of time, May, June and November, December, 1981, July, September, 1982, December, April 1983, when the agent was possibly off duty. Also, it was possible that the second uneven number was a sign that the message is of an operational nature. However, since the number 8 appeared more than usual, it was suggested that it could have been a training signal number. The frequencies used 10,135 kHz and 11,237 kHz show that the agent used a foreign-made receiver. The WFF-01/173 signal from Frankfurt since October 3, 1980, was broadcasted twice a week on Wednesdays at 2300 hours and Saturdays midnight, Moscow Winter Time. The station was considered to be received in the northern and central parts of the Union. Most important cities including Riga were in the zone of reception, as shown by monitoring results outside the Union. The station changed frequencies often, and these changes came together with the KGB counterintelligence operation Cascada II and possibly did not have one agent tied to it, but rather was just an imitation of operational activity. At the start of May 1983, after daylight savings, the radio center again changed frequencies and broadcasted at 6373/7376 kHz that first transmitted on 23.08.82. From December 18, 1982, onwards the schedule was changed, possibly to adjust to the needs of the agent. From August 1982 the frequencies were moved towards closer to radio amateur bands so they could be received on many domestic radios. Later many other frequencies were used that could be received on domestic radios. When analyzing the call signs, it was noted that the first digit used an uneven number, in second even and in third numbers, like for example 2, 4, 8, 9, and therefore it was presumed the messages were of operational nature. Beginning August 1982, the line WFF-01/173 started to send messages with call signs 111 and 999 that were presumed training messages. WFF-01/206 transmissions began on August 25, 1981, and were sent on Mondays at 2200 hours and Sundays at midnight on Moscow Winter Time. Seasonal changes took place in November and May. The analysis of the station showed a high probability that Latvian or Lithuanian SSR would be the location where the broadcasts were sent to, because of the very high signal strength. From 30.01.1982 onwards the radio center made a swift change of the working frequencies. The radiogram used call sign number 782. From November 12, 82 the female voice sending the numbers was changed. The radiogram now sent new call sign 332 with 2 being an even number, meaning it could be an operational message. There were no messages sent in the time frame between August-November 1981, December 1982, and January 1983, that could have been connected to a possible delay of activity because of technical changes in the radio center. During new transmitter tests for call sign, the number 7 was used as the third figure, 057, 267,677, indicating the testing nature of the new frequencies. The frequencies sent by this line were receivable on domestic radios. Until now, the KGB service are only mentioned a very few cases of real agents being captured by this evidence, and these cases were not documented in much detail. Then finally in 1985, a large list of suspects was added to the case. For reasons of data protection, their names and surnames will not be mentioned here. This list of suspects, however, was not based on radio reception, but on people sending communications back to the West. These people were known to send post messages to people in West Germany, the US and other places from various places in Latvia, Riga, Cēsis, Jēkabpils, Limbaži etc. For the most part, these people were mainly relatives of the exiles in the West. However, these KGB considered all these as suspects. The agent could have sent back a coded message in a letter of a postcard or a hidden document. When the KGB found the content of a letter suspicious, it was then needed to arrange further surveillance of the person, and when that person was reviewed, one of the questions was where he works, at what time he is at home, what radio he owns, and when the person was abroad, and if possible when he was sick. That was the point of all past collected data. If there is a suspect who fits to some of the details connected to some of the active broadcasts, further surveillance had to be carried out. Also, sending QSL reports for Western stations like Voice of America by some shortwave radio DX enthusiasts was seen as a criminal activity. Other examples leading to suspicion were letters and documents with no real content, some strange markings or a signature not matching. When some US citizens sent blank letters to the US, this was considered a reception test, as the KGB discovered some Americans sent the blank envelope to themselves. Why? Some other postcards in English were sent to France, with the word France in Russian. Someone had sent a message to the Netherlands with a stylized signature. It would sound to be very paranoid handling of these occurrences, but all that seemed out of normal had to be checked. One document sent to Canada really had included a cipher and was written on thermoactive paper. Now that was a reason for concern. Eventually, maybe just a few of these people were actually involved in any intel activity, and some might have been removed off the list on the spot, while others, however, might have been kept on, and marked for further surveillance, and some even pressed to cooperate and become an off-rank agent for KGB. The new changes in Soviet leadership occurred in 1985 after years of Brezhnev, and the short rule of Andropov, a longtime KGB chief, and Chernenko's lack of management. By views of some authors, the move by Gorbachev towards reforms and warming of relations with the US were not caused by his own democratic beliefs, but rather by failed weapons programs like the Polis spacecraft that was meant as an answer for the US Star Wars program, and in general by the arms race initiated by Reagan, which put a huge burden on the Soviet economy. The Chernobyl disaster and the failing war in Afghanistan pressed towards this further. By 1985, the Soviet Union had created one of the largest and most effective counterintelligence services in history, as well as a strong foreign intelligence. The KGB was a grand titan that acted as sword and shield of the state and the party, and it was very good at it. However, the Soviet military complex was failing, the industry and economy were failing, the society, despite all efforts of the KGB political division, had become more influenced by the West and itself was inert to the Soviet propaganda. For some time, everything the party said, everything the state information told, was taken as routine lies, that nobody cared for and nobody believed. The state and society were like an estranged family where the members didn't any longer talk to each other and just went about their daily routine until death or separation. In August 1985, the KGB was very much in this routine. The agency in the newest monitoring report now concluded that CIA messages from Frankfurt sometimes coincided with the arrival of a diplomat, who must work with the agent. The message was sent before the planned visit date for at least 5 to 7 days prior to the agent. And Service R connected some of the visits from U.S. diplomats to the U.S. with WFF-01/52 new radiogram on 16 to 20 June, WFF-01/176 on June 17 to 20, WFF-01/206 June 16 to 18. The diplomats were in Riga from June 20 to 21. Another visit was on October 8 to 10. WFF-01/52 on 3 and November 6, 01/144 September 30 and October 7, 01/176 29, 30, November 1,6,7 October, WFF-01/76, WFF-01/206, September 29 and October 6. WFF-01/213 on October 5 to 8. The KGB also complained that the large list of suspected people, while useful, could not be used fully as the amount of messages were too many and only a few profiles on suspects were made, and asked to make the list of suspects more flexible and specific. From the author's point of view, this was the classical case of bureaucratic purber, too much, and it was done by employees who did the list based on quantity, not quality, to gain more pay for their work. In 1985 the KGB demanded close watch on WFF 01/52, 144, 176, 206 and 213 and kept a close eye on the U.S. diplomatic visits to Riga. In 1986 May 26 new counterintelligence operation took place in Riga to carry out radio counter-intel action named Delta A. Delta R was tasked to make signal measurements. One new conclusion from the past activities was that his one-directional message also had a psychological effect on the agents. Meaning not that the messages on the radio may sound frightening, but meaning these messages that the agent must receive and decode on set time and day, kept him in line with his secret duty and therefore is a tool of control from afar. Every agent is always in danger of having a mental breakdown and could let himself off the rails. In 1986 KGB reported that the US and GFR are using 480 communication lines and 70 can be received directly in the USSR. The KGB then also released more detailed instructions on signal detection and surveillance of potential objects where the likely agents received the messages. In January 1987 the KGB ordered a maintenance check on the radio listening poststurm. The post was located at the operational hall in RPTS 19 of the Service R of the Latvian KGB. Its antenna, called Skovrtske T, was directed to 20 km southwestern from the central Riga and was 26 meters high, placed above ground. The Service R used for its own transmissions the radio transmitter R863 Chinara with 1 to 3 block discone antenna made by AFU Gnezdo. The signal was tested at 55 locations in Riga, on 3 frequencies 294 MHz, 306 MHz, and 316 MHz, the 2 navigational signal tracking devices E512, Chinara. Based on the reception tests the maps were drawn and tables made to test the quality of the signal tracker. And with that, the case abruptly ended. Another smaller case in Latvian KGB archive mentioning Western intel transmissions was found in the regional section of Saldus, a small regional center in Kurzeme, Western Latvia, where local counterintelligence management received information about one-directional broadcast times and their designations. The information was sent in 1977, in the same way the Service R started these monitoring efforts in Riga. The reason this information was sent was probably connected to the geographical location of Saldus, central part of Kurzeme, and also because of many top-secret objects in Saldus district like the early warning radar base in Skrunda, the rocket base in Nigranda and also the space surveillance telescopes further in Ventspils district hidden in Slotere forest. All military and industrial objects in Soviet-occupied Latvia were under the guard of the KGB. Conclusion: the KGB may have continued monitoring efforts in Latvia until its fall in August 1991, when authorities of the restored Republic of Latvia and national activists stormed the much-hated KGB building in the central part of Riga and to their astonishment found large bags of documents, agent ID cards. For the next 20 years, the Latvian government had apparently no proper idea on how to handle the files. However, KGB did not leave everything behind. Probably the other documents associated with these monitoring efforts were taken to Moscow, were destroyed or might still remain to be found in an archive. It is true that since 1988 the KGB was more concerned about the growing Latvian independence restoration movement, but since the KGB was a large structure and they undoubtedly tied this movement to Western intelligence activities, they still tried to control these broadcasts at least until 1990, when Latvia slid into the chaos of 2 governments, a restored Republic of Latvia, its own newly founded structures and the old power structures still loyal to Moscow. In the end, these documents reveal to us the complex world of counterintelligence. All this effort is one of the most concrete proof of radio encoded messages used by intelligence agencies. The KGB foreign intelligence had their own one-directional broadcasts, and all major counterintelligence services were likely just as busy listening to them and gathering all information about them. These documents, if preserved and available, remains to be found and analyzed. The same also applies to counterintelligence agencies in Communist Poland, Hungary, Romania, and East Germany, where the KGB sister organizations monitored the airwaves for Western intelligence broadcasts. While the KGB efforts, as we saw, were often very questionable, like eavesdropping on foreign and local radio amateurs, breaking personal correspondence, etc., it was their duty. A coded number broadcast for them was not something creepy, nor entertaining. It meant there was an intelligence operation ongoing against their country. A casual talk between radio amateurs was not always plain casual. If we would take off the ideological views, we must understand that the CIA and other Western agencies had their own goals against the Soviet Union, just as Soviet Union had against the US, and both were playing a very sophisticated game for supremacy and survival. Another important aspect we learned from these documents is what actually interests the counterintelligence. First, they are not interested in guessing the content of these messages because they did not have the adversary codebooks. As the metadata is often revealing, when you can't view the contents of the communication. Their main interest was rather practical: from where they were sent, on what time and day, and to what direction. Then there was guesswork: is the message for training, or is it a diversion or operational? Another important question is the frequency: can it be received on domestic or foreign equipment? All this investigative work, and with cooperation with other branches of the KGB, the result, the capture of an agent, was eventually achieved. Agents can be captured in many ways. He could be betrayed by a mole in his agency, he can be apprehended after long surveillance, he could make a mistake and unmask himself unintentionally, or even turn himself in. With great respect to the workers of both intelligence and counterintelligence branches, this study was written to show the reality of the world of the numbers stations, the reality that still goes on for many of the agencies in our current world, and reality of intelligence work. This hopefully will be the first of many such studies on intelligence documents, and will benefit the radio, intelligence, and counterintelligence history.
Eins 8 8 0 4